The bell tolls. The midnight hour is upon us. It's time once again for two internet strangers to discuss the good and evil of the horror genre. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the terror within the Hallow-Holics Anonymous podcast.
Hey kids, listen. I need you two to sit down. I've got something big, and I mean big, coming out of the pipe. Tell him, Jerry.
Big enough to choke an elephant. She says big, she means big.
It's hot out there. The kids want laughs. They also want spooks. Laughs and spooks.
Spooks and laughs.
And you're the ones who are going to make it happen. What do you say?
I say I'm very confused, and I don't know how you got into our podcasting studio.
We'll do it. Let's start the podcast.
Maddie, I don't think...
Hi, I'm Maddie.
And I'm Corey. And this is Hallow-Holics Anonymous, a show dedicated to all things horror and occasionally Halloween.
This episode is about vacations. Sort of.
It's basically the same episode we did last time, only two different movies. Which is okay, except my movie was terrible.
Well, that was your fault.
Yeah, it really was.
We took a vacation to mentally prepare for these two films. Isn't that right, Corey?
Yeah, that's exactly what we did. With the Easter holiday and how much I like celebrating those, we just didn't have time.
It had nothing whatsoever to do with procrastination or poor planning or crazy schedules.
No, nothing at all like that. Definitely not.
Yeah, because as you know, we're totally, completely, 100% professional. At all
Very
times.
Professional, constantly.
Just like the characters in our movies, High Spirits and Transylvania 5000. Two films in which several people sort of go on vacations, which is why this theme is vacations. No,
they're both working vacations, technically.
Yeah, exactly. Which, vacation, keyword there.
Yeah, true. We'll go with it. Does anything differentiate these two, really, other than...
My movie was good, and set in Ireland, and directed by an award-winning film director, and yours was just a money laundering excuse for an Eastern European country.
Yeah, we'll get into that a little bit. I didn't find a whole lot out about it, but I think I figured it out.
Yeah.
This is the first bad movie we've done in a while, too.
Yeah, so I'm kind of proud of us for both sitting through it, because I've actually tried to watch Transylvania 5000 before, and I couldn't remember why I turned it off every time, and now I know.
Yeah, it's, Jeff Goldblum doesn't even save it, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But before we get to that, let's, hop on that train to History Town with our conductor.
On this day in horror history.
In 1912, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow was released. In 1984, Carnage. And in 2003, Beyond Reanimator.
Beyond Reanimator is the underrated
very
film.
Late sequel, yes.
Reanimator film.
Yeah.
I really like it.
You like Jeffrey Combs. I
do like Jeffrey Combs. But it's also the first time we see what the reagent does to a living person. Spoiler, not so good. And I mean, there's other stuff, but we won't. Have you seen it?
I don't think I have. We're definitely going to have to do like a discussion on it at some point.
Yeah, it really pushes into the ridiculousness of that world, I guess.
In a way, I think the Reanimator series is Victor Frankenstein if he had no regrets whatsoever about his actions.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I am sad that we never saw the fourth one, though. They were supposed to... There was talk of a fourth one. It was going to be House of Reanimator, and it was supposed to be the president dies, and they call in Herbert West to reanimate the president, and that would have been so great. Especially considering, like, they really need to make this movie now. It would be amazing if they made it now in this political climate.
And they should have Corey Feldman join him on the
I agree. It was also briefly considered as a what was that horror anthology that was on TV for a couple of seasons?
Wow, that was the most generic description.
Yeah, I know. It was the one where they banned Takashi Miike's episode and he vowed never to do it again.
Masters of Horror? Maybe?
Masters of Horror, yeah, that's it. They talked about the fourth Reanimator being one of those, and I think it either never happened or the show got canceled beforehand, but I think it's a tragedy we never got the House of Reanimator, or haven't gotten it yet. Maybe there's still hope. Well, and that was on this day in horror history.
Now, before we move on to the game for the episode, to really get that energy going, get it pumping, to juice it up, to use a phrase that I'm not going to repeat because it grossed Corey out earlier.
Juice it up was pretty gross too, though.
Yeah, but it didn't. Juicing it up, you think of like batteries, you know?
Mm-hmm. Nah. Yeah, normal people would.
Yeah, I can use the other phrase if you prefer.
No, we're good.
Okay. Would you like to talk about Horror Pack?
Yes, I have received potentially my least favorite horror pack so far. I'm not going to cancel it because they've been lovely with their movies, but I haven't seen 3 out of the 4, and I'm embarrassed that I've seen one of them. Oh, you know what? No, I just saw the tagline of one of the movies. It's totally worth it, even if the movie sucks. I'm putting that's in the last pile.
I feel like
okay.
All it takes to seduce you into watching a terrible film is a tagline.
That is all it takes. A tagline and some good box art, and I'm watching it.
You're like James Woods in Family Guy. Ooh, a piece of candy. Ooh, a tagline.
Exactly. And the problem is, I've noticed that the better the box art in B movies, the worse the movie normally is.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I get tricked into some bad movies because I'm an idiot. All right, we'll start with Way of the Wicked. Christian Slater looks like he plays a priest. Vinnie Jones is in it too, but he's in everything. So the back says, in this heart-stopping supernatural thriller, after a series of inexplicable murders sweeps a small, isolated community, Father Henry Slater goes to a local police detective, Jones, with a theory on why the murders are occurring. The two learn that a troubled teen with a dark past has recently moved to town and has set his sights on the cop's beautiful young daughter. Father Henry, who turns out to have secrets of his own, finds himself pitted against a demonic force more diabolically evil and twisted than any of them could have imagined. So, there's a demon.
I'd watch it.
I bet the demons, I'm calling it now, the demon's actually in the cop's daughter and not in the new kid from town. But I'm probably wrong. This is a terrible guess. So next up is Don't Knock Twice.
That sounds familiar.
I don't know. Katie Sackhoff's in it. I love her. I'm a big Battlestar Galactica fan. The tagline is, "Pray she doesn't answer." There's like a little glowy ghost hand on the cover. When a troubled teen defies a local legend's warning and knocks at the door of a long-abandoned house, she unleashes a horror beyond her darkest nightmares, the vengeance of a relentless child-stealing witch. With nowhere else to turn, Chloe heads for the country home of her estranged mother, Jess, played by Katie Sackhoff of Battlestar Galactica. In this, she's a recovering addict who is desperate to reconnect with her daughter. Now, mother and daughter must once again learn to trust each other if they have any hope of surviving the relentless force shadowing Chloe, whatever. A well-crafted thriller, says Bloody Disgusting, that's rooted in the real world, but dipping its toes into a Brothers Grimm fairy tale. Diabolique. Whatever magazine says that. Don't Knock Twice is the wellspring of your next nightmare. I don't know.
Witch is in the mother calling it now.
You think the witch is the mom?
Witch is in the mom, yes.
I bet she at least gets possessed for a period of time.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll never know because I never watched these movies.
Maybe they'll pull an Ash trick and looking at a necklace will suddenly cure her, even though it wouldn't have cured anyone else.
Ooh, yeah, maybe. All right, so here's the one I saw, and I'm embarrassed that I've seen this because it's awful. Cabin Fever Patient Zero.
Ooh.
Yeah. Tagline, terror is contagious, blah, blah, blah. So this is actually the prequel to Cabin Fever, as opposed to the original Cabin Fever, the sequel, which takes place in a high school, or the remake of Cabin
like
Fever.
That
for no reason.
require a backstory?
Does it require a remake? A group of friends plan the perfect vacation in the Caribbean, but when they head ashore to explore a remote island, their ultimate bachelor weekend devolves into their worst nightmare. After an ill-fated swim in contaminated water, they stumble upon a seemingly abandoned research facility where a deadly flesh-eating virus has been unleashed. The only people left alive are a handful of secretive medical personnel and Patient Zero, played by Sean Astin.
Okay, so the government did it.
Mm-hmm. He's the lone person who's been exposed to the disease and shows no symptoms. Can they find a way to survive and escape, or will the virus consume them all in a bloodbath of chaos and carnage?
So they just basically stole part of the plot from Return of the Living Dead 3.
Pretty much. Yeah. I wonder if this is actually the one that I saw. Maybe it's the prequel to the prequel.
You'd better watch it just to make sure.
Oh, we probably have to. And finally, since it's the Easter horror pack, we've got Rotten Tail with the best tagline in the history of taglines.
Just out with it.
Hippity hoppity homicide.
That is so lazy.
It's so great. Are you kidding? Rotten Tail tells the bizarre tale. Oh, it's bizarre. Tells the bizarre tale of Peter Cotton, who grew up in the town of Easter Falls and loves rabbits.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Peter's science project on rabbit breeding is ruined when the school bullies beat up his rabbit.
What?
Years later, the kind but still shy Dr. Cotton works steadily and gently with his rabbits to cure human infertility. Unbeknownst to Peter, the military is this work. What? That's a typo. Unbeknownst to Peter, the military is this work. Developing fierce soldiers with strength far exceeding a human of their size, and with Peter's fertility serum, the ability to breed in the field.
So normal people just can't have sex in open fields? What's the...
Oh, this is super soldiers that breed during the battle and have more super soldiers to keep fighting.
That mental image.
This is so great. Peter discovers the true nature of the experiment and attempts to stop it, but in an accident of poetic justice, a bite from an experimental mutant rabbit combines with Peter's own serum to transform him into the evil Rotten Tail.
What the hell?
How is this not an origin story where he ends up as Rotten Tail in the end? Like, how, like, does this entire movie, like, does this summary just happen in the first 15 minutes? Because he's got to be Rotten Tail for most of the movie, right? So does
he turn into a rabbit hybrid?
Yeah, there's this crazy picture of, like, this man rabbit with giant ears. He kind of looks like an old man who just let himself go. So I might watch this when we're done recording tonight.
Oh my god.
That's hilarious. So yeah, that's Horror Pack this month. I really don't know how I feel about it, but I now own a movie about a killer mutant bunny man, and that is, I guess, a life's goal all of a sudden.
I think they really have truly realized that it doesn't matter what they throw in that package they send to you, you will take it.
I think you're right. These are now just tailored to me, and by that I mean they just throw whatever shit in they want to.
Yeah, I wish they would come up with better movies. The summer is coming up, and I want to see some really good horror. And I don't mean like just that occasional really good horror film. I want summer blockbusters. So
if it's going to be a summer blockbuster, it's got to be big. So it can't it's got to be some sort of like world-ending thing. Like, yes, the fate of the world is upon us.
Also, it's the summer, and you want it to feel like a summer movie, so maybe the characters are going on a vacation.
So we're making a beach movie then?
Yeah, beach movie. You know what? It's about time that beach movies make a comeback.
Yeah, they keep trying, and it's just not working, but I just think it's because they're not paying us to make them.
Let's be honest here. We're pretty much free labor. We'd do it anyway. We're desperate.
That's true. I do it for a trip to the location.
Oh, that would be fun.
Yeah.
Where would it be set? Like, Hawaii is a little overdone.
No, it needs to be somewhere with a resort. Well, before that, we need to decide if it's a family or if it's a group of friends.
Maybe there is a family and then also a group of friends.
I think the family has to be the center of it since it's a summer blockbuster, but they have to meet the group of friends.
Okay. Should there be a religious person who's lost his way?
Yeah, but unrelated to the family or the group of friends.
Yeah,
this is like our harbinger character.
Yeah, of course.
It can't be like The Ritual or what was that movie where everybody got stuck on top of that pyramid?
Oh, yes. It can't be artsy.
No.
It has to be like generic vanilla ice cream. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. But really fun.
Well, what's in right now? Like, what's like...
Superheroes are really in right now. And let's see. The Kardashians are a thing, I think.
Ooh, you're onto something there. A murderous...
Heiress.
No. A murderous Instagram influencer with supernatural powers.
Okay. That could be interesting. What is her purpose of killing all the family and the friends and the religious guy?
That's some kind of chaos magic ritual that she's doing with her Instagram and her followers. Like, she's got pictures of all these, like think of The Ring on Instagram.
And she was planning a flash mob.
Yeah, we could do that. And that could be her final world-ending sort of thing in this remote...
tropical paradise.
Right. I mean, there's probably ruins.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But of course, the family and everyone, they're going to have to try to figure out ways to fight back, too, you know? Like, but maybe the little girl or the son, they know something, like they're like radically obsessed with some kind of subject, like Instagram, and they know how to fight back because of that strength, that knowledge they have.
I think that the daughter figures it out, but the 17-year-old son is into one of the girls from the group of friends that are there for the flash mob. So he's going off to be in it with this girl. The mother suspects something supernatural is going on, but nobody believes her until that inciting incident where everybody's like, holy crap, this is real. And then the daughter's like, ooh, but check out my feed. Or whatever the kids say. Mom, look at my grams. Or Instas.
Check out this wall of information on my phone that correlates with videos and amusing pictures.
There you go. And they have to... I wonder if a meme saves the day. As much as I hate them, I feel like that's where we're going.
Maybe it's about the power of attention is what she's drawing from. The Instagram apocalypse queen. What are we going to call her? What is she? The messiah of the technocalypse?
The Gramageddon? The Instapocalypse.
Instapocalypse, yes. And also we're tying that into the Instapot.
The what?
The Instapot.
What the hell's that?
It's just the best thing ever. We got to figure out a way to put an Instapot in the kitchen at some point.
Okay. I don't know what it is, but cool.
It's like a smart pressure cooker, but that's off topic.
Those things are dangerous.
Oh, but not the Instapot. That's not what this is about, though.
Instapot is your friend.
So it's really about trying to pull. They have to create a viral video, or picture stream, or whatever goes viral on Instagram or Facebook right these days. That's more powerful than hers.
I like that. That gets more likes.
Yeah.
I also really need at one point for our antagonist to kill someone and then look down at their dying body and
do a
say,
selfie? Okay.
And say, if you can't handle me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best.
Yes.
And then maybe smash him with a rock. So the dad probably dies.
Oh, yeah, the dad, he dies early on.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was probably, maybe posting something lame on Facebook that no one could identify with.
Yeah, or or really, really awful political views.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Maybe, she has to kill people to consume their life energy, and she finds them through their social media activity. So if they're doing something on social media and it's a powerful enough force, it draws her to them to kill them.
Yeah.
So when he was in the bathroom posting about Donald Trump.
No, I think he's in the gym.
When he's in the gym posting about Donald Trump.
Yeah, I think he's on an exercise bike posting about Donald Trump. And she comes in
Negative or positive, we don't know. We're nonpartisan in this
Exactly.
podcast.
We're not political
You'll
here.
never know.
Right. Although you can probably guess. But she comes in behind him and like smashes his head in with a dumbbell.
Oh, yeah.
And says, "This is how I do CrossFit."
Oh, nice. Oh,
yeah,
I feel like we can do better than that.
Well, she's got to mention CrossFit.
Like, what about much CrossFit? So wow.
Do you think that like this is that might work? The kids would get it, and that's really our demographic here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is why she has to wear very revealing clothing, of course, at all times.
Oh yeah.
And probably have an unnecessary changing scene.
Well, that would probably be the group of friends would have to do that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Like just a scene that's completely not needed in the movie at all, and you wouldn't miss it if it was cut out, but there's lots of boobs and everything.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So we're going for an R rating here. R ratings are all the rage at this point. We can get away with it. Thanks, Deadpool.
Yeah, it's a summer blockbuster. Even though there's a little girl as one of the main characters, the protagonist. Well, that's okay. They did it with the badass or super bad or whatever. Kick-ass.
I mean, she can be like 16. In fact, it'd probably be better if she was like 16 because, I don't know, it would creep me out less. Because it's not like she's doing any of the revealing stuff. She's just the one that figures this out. And she can even be kind of nerdy.
Yeah.
I feel like she has to be kind of nerdy.
Maybe she has to get access to the Insta Queen's, like, Facebook feed to post something. And
Like hack her account or just become like the page?
To hack her account. To make something, like, to post something that will completely make people, like, flame or hate her or unsubscribe.
I like that, but I think that it can't work. I think that ultimately...
Just shooting her in the head is best?
No, I think that the world ends. I think that the bad guy wins in this movie.
Yeah.
Because we need to send the message that social media is crap.
Yeah, of course.
Also, tweet us at Hallow-Holics, nowhere 23.
At the end of the day, like at the very end, when they think they can fight this Insta Queen, they slowly lift up all their phones in unison. And you hear the dinging sound of likes all across the island.
Ooh, that's good.
Yeah.
And then we fade to black.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is there a post-credit scene? Because the kids are loving post-credit scenes these days.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, post-credit scene. Maybe some fun, makeup video of the Insta Queen, like after everybody's dead.
Or it's the dad's twitching corpse.
Yeah, kids love dad's twitching corpse.
Okay, maybe I'm a little bit out of touch. What do you want?
A music video. An unnecessary music video.
Oh, yeah, like at the end of Waiting.
Yeah. Like, and maybe it would be a rap song that's like...
Yeah, can Andy Milonakis rap? Yeah, I think that's ridiculous enough to work.
Yeah, I think so. But who would play the Insta Queen?
Oh, I feel like Brie Larson would be good for that because everybody's mad at her for being the first female Marvel movie. So that would bring people into the seats, especially because Captain Marvel was so good.
And who would be the little girl fighting her? I feel like if Dakota Fanning was a little younger, she would be perfect.
Yeah, she's too old now. I think we get Maisie Williams.
Yeah.
Because she's done with that sword fighting show. Game of Thrones. Jesus, I actually like it.
So this is our summer blockbuster, huh?
No, we're not done yet.
No,
we got more actors to figure out.
Oh yeah, we gotta figure out the whole cast.
Matthew Lillard plays the dad.
Okay.
Because I want to see him get his head bashed in, just because I want to give him more work.
Can we fit Crispin Glover in here at all?
Yeah, I think we can. I think that he can be Insta Queen's toady.
Insta Queen's toady.
/ social media manager.
Like a weird, older looking dude who models himself off of Andy Warhol.
We actually played Andy Warhol already, so it feels like cheating.
Oh, okay. Models himself off of...
What the hell did he play Andy Warhol in? I'm going to look that up. That's going to drive me nuts. I distinctly remember him as Andy Warhol.
He has a weird Michael Jackson fetish. He still keeps the glove or something.
Did you say that just because his last name is Glover?
No, I just suddenly pictured him with that silver glove and the red jacket and being like, yeah, I can see Crispin in that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll accept it.
We'll see how long we can keep this Glover train running in this show. I feel like it would be really funny if the dad was Jeff Goldblum.
Well, then who's Matthew Lillard?
Oh, yeah.
Jeff Goldblum's too old to be the dad. He's the harbinger that we created but never actually used.
Yes. What happened to him? We didn't do anything with him.
Oh, he's just out there warning people and stuff. He probably dies pretty bad.
Yeah, he's in there somewhere. And then it's a very ironic death. Like sending prayers or something. That's what she said.
Thoughts and prayers.
Maybe that's a little too.
Oh, wait, no, you might be right if we're trying to stay nonpartisan here.
Yeah. There's got to be a point in which her, like, zombie horde of Insta followers are, like, locked in this huge building with the group of friends and the family, and they try to fight their way through them.
Yeah, with, like, makeshift weapons.
Mm-hmm. Maybe it's on, like, Congo night or Limbo night, because I really like the idea of tropical music playing and, like, a limbo stick going down as, like...
Just people murdering everybody. Yeah, that's great. It was The Doors. He was Andy Warhol in The Doors.
Oh, okay.
Demi Moore, just because she was the first actress I thought of, and I don't like that, so let's think of somebody else.
Yeah, so Jeff Goldblum's too old to be that.
Good point.
Ooh, you know what would be a really good throwback?
What? I feel like when you say throwback, you're going to pick somebody that's too old.
But no, not necessarily.
You know who'd be great in that role? Betty White.
Betty White would be great as a grumpy old lady who shouldn't be there, but...
Or she could be the Harbinger's, like, wife, and every time he comes out warning people, she can be like, all right, honey, come on, It's basically the reverse version of her character in Lake Placid.
Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah, I like her. And she was in The Ghost Whisperer, so she could do it.
And with that Island Paradise setting, it would be a really great throwback to I Know What You Did Last Summer. I Still Know What You Did Last Summer.
Yeah, yeah.
And we could even do a couple of references in which she suddenly gets nervous and it's almost like it breaks the fourth wall as if it's going back to those movies.
Oh, I really like that.
Mm-hmm.
And we can, like, steal shots from that, too.
Oh, yeah, totally. No, not steal shot. No, not steal. You have to pay homage to.
Oh, however you want to put it. Okay.
Yeah. And there's got to be a poster in the background of some famous movie at some point.
Yeah. Or like a prop from something.
Yeah. So we can tie it into that universe in the future when we make a sequel or we make another story that seems like it's completely independent, like La Llorona, and somehow figure out a way to attach it to Annabelle.
Oh, La Llorona's related to Annabelle?
Apparently, yeah, it's in the Annabelle universe. Yeah, I think we've got a movie.
I think we do too. I think this is going to make us millions.
Mm-hmm.
Call us Hollywood.
Yeah, unlike, unfortunately, High Spirits, which didn't really make millions. I think my movie probably made back a little bit more than yours did.
Oh, I'm sure it did. And I think people probably still, like, your movie probably still has life.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's because it's charming.
I loved it.
Oh, yeah. It's just a fun film.
This is the longest intro ever.
I know, oh my gosh. I've never even heard of Palace Pictures.
These brave Americans traveled all the way to Europe to visit a genuine haunted castle.
Peter O'Toole is amazing.
Oh god, he's great in this.
There are no bloomin' ghosts here.
But there will be. We'll invent them.
Their host doesn't want them disappointed.
This is the most pitiful supernatural sham that I've ever encountered.
It will get better, I do assure you.
But when you fake a haunting, the real ghosts get mad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We're going to give those Americans exactly what they came here for.
Everything it's old school because it's an older movie, but like it's just everything I love about this genre is all packed in this movie.
Now they're out
and
of the
Daryl
closet.
Hannah is beautiful.
Oh, she's gorgeous in this.
You're a real ghost.
Love is in the air. And Jack's just dreamy enough to imagine life with a ghost.
Yeah, ghost sex is weird.
Jack, is that you?
Liam Neeson looks pretty good.
That's Martin. Who's Martin? He's a ghost. He visits his wife every night. Other than that, I think he's pretty harmless.
Daryl Hannah.
If you loved me, the miracle could happen.
Peter O'Toole.
Sorry, Peter.
Beverly D'Angelo.
You threw me over this?
I mean, I knew you like passive women, Jack, but she's half dead. I hope she has a great personality because this hurts.
Steve Guttenberg.
I know looks are and everything.
I'm in here.
It's just that they can help so much.
There's nothing like a vacation to give your spirits a lift. High Spirits.
And then it just cuts off.
Yeah, that's good enough. They get the point.
Yeah, they get the point. So, drunken Irish-British castle owner and heir to a family history of terrible misfortune has reached his credit limit. And if he doesn't do something fast, his family estate will be torn down and shipped to Miami to become an Irish theme park. In an effort to prevent this, he turns it into a hotel and also basically a haunted theme park. All manner of tourists arrive to witness the grand opening, and terrible acting from the hotel staff pisses off both the living and the dead. In order to save their home and haunting grounds, the ghosts team up with Steve Guttenberg, kind of, to give the tourists what they're looking for, a good scare.
See, this is where it kind of loses me a little bit. Like, again, this movie's great, and I'm just nitpicking, but if I went to a place like this and the first thing I saw was this circus of low-budget madness happening on the bus trip in, I am sold for my week vacation at this place. I don't care how crappy it is. If they're trying that hard, I am so down.
Well, Jennifer Tilly didn't seem to have any strong opinions about it. She was just more into getting into the priest Steve Gallagher's pants. And it seemed like he probably,
great too.
Yeah, it seemed like he probably just came to this place because it was an affordable, nice old building to take his vacation in. It didn't seem like he was in it for the ghosts.
Yeah, I feel like he was there to kind of just commune with ancient godliness.
Yeah,
you know, I don't know. Why was he there?
Well, because he wanted to have one sort of trip before he took his final, vows and basically.
Oh, like a Catholic Rumspringa?
Well, he's he's not officially a priest yet, basically, and he's kind of, you get the impression that the character was kind of questioning whether it was the right path.
Well, are your people allowed to just wear that collar before they're a priest?
Well, I don't know. I'm not training to be a priest.
But I just wanted to call them your people. I'll be honest.
And then the family, of course, isn't having fun because the kids are little shits, and the dad is a super serious parapsychologist who wanted to confirm whether these were real ghosts or not. He was insulted, like the ultimate skeptic who, that chaos pissed him off. And Steve Guttenberg was there just to bone down on his frigid wife, who was just there to basically spy.
Be the inciting incident.
Exactly. And what a terrible woman.
Oh, yeah. This was peak Steve Guttenberg, like that cute smile, those little childish looks he gives.
Oh, yeah.
This is why the world fell in love with that man. This is why Batteries Not Included is one of the greatest movies ever made.
Hey, he's great in Short Circuit as well.
Oh, that's right. He's in Short Circuit, but not Short Circuit 2. Short Circuit 2, they just kept the vaguely racist white guy playing the Indian.
Yeah. But still, let's admit it. We both kind of enjoy Short Circuit too, as well.
Los Locos kick your ass. Los Locos kick your face. Los Locos kick your balls into outer space. Of course I love Short Circuit too, dude. I'm not a monster.
Johnny Five is alive.
Now I have to watch Short Circuit too. Can we just do both Short Circuits at some time?
Maybe for a really weird episode, because those have nothing to do with horror.
Well, the horror of a sentient robot being lost amongst humans. Can you imagine how terrifying that would be for...
Yeah, but
that's the only creature like itself in the world.
First of all, he's not terrified. He's curious, and he's inspired, and he's childlike.
You don't know what's inside him.
He doesn't even understand what disassemble is until it's explained to him.
And then he's terrified when he finds out.
What does that have to do with high spirits?
Horror. I don't know. I just wanted to say the Los Locos line.
So the director of High Spirits, Neil Jordan, has done some pretty intense classic noir and drama. One of them you may recognize being The Crying Game. But he wasn't involved in the editing of High Spirits at all. And
Wait, he directed The Crying Game?
Yep, he wrote it too. At any rate, Neil Jordan actually writes and directs a lot of the works he's done, but he wasn't involved in the editing in High Spirits, and he insists that there's a much different version of this movie locked up somewhere. I can only assume that maybe it's more gruesome with much less fun theme music. But personally, I kind of like how this one turned out, and can't imagine with the singing fish bit that comedy wasn't the primary goal in the first place. Like, he hates this movie.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I guess that makes sense. If the final edit wasn't what he wanted, I can kind of get that.
Yeah, they completely took it out of his hands. He was not allowed to be involved with the editing.
Oh, that sucks.
So I'm sure there was probably some fighting along the way that led them to that, because you don't just take that away from the director without a reason.
Yeah, maybe he was a jerk.
Well, I don't want to pass that judgment without knowing the man, but I can sort of see elements that might have originally been intended in this film to have more substance, like the puka, this talking horse who only gets like one short line in one scene.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, there has to be an explanation for that dude.
Yeah, and there's a lot of like really speedy pacing in this film. It kind of just marches on from one story element to the next, just going forward. It doesn't really linger very long in any one place.
And it doesn't fully justify everything either. Like, they made a big deal about calling Liam Neeson's character gross and farty and full of warts, but, like, dude looks great in this movie. I mean, they do, like, make some fart sounds, because whatever. But, like, I mean, he's shirtless in that shower scene, and, like, that's a handsome fella.
Yeah, he is. He looks really good. Do you need a moment alone with Liam Neeson's ghost?
No, I'm good. I'll just cuddle with my body pillow later. My Liam Neeson's ghost's body pillow.
Well, they were also focusing on making him look good. The fact of the matter is, you can't see the warts on his hand, and you can't smell him when he's on screen.
Well, I mean, John Waters did that smell-o-vision thing that time.
Oh, yeah. To see High Spirits with smell-o-vision, guys. It's the next biggest thing. The main players speak for themselves without a credit list. You've got Peter O'Toole playing pretty much one of my favorite characters he's ever done as this sort of... He's got the best intentions in mind to maintain his family estate, but he really doesn't want anything to do with it. He was just kind of thrust into it. He wanted to just be a lazy, happy-go-lucky drunk. Yeah. You've got Liam Neeson, Steve Guttenberg, Daryl Hannah, Beverly D'Angelo, Peter Gallagher, Jennifer Tilly. It's a fantastic cast. Now, Scream Factory did a double feature Blu-ray release of this with Vampire's Kiss, which is not only one of those are they a vampire or are they insane plots like Martin and Habit, but also an anxiety movie that just sort of makes you want to cover your face with a pillow every 5 minutes. I don't really see why they paired that with High Spirits. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that is a really strange pairing.
Like, thematically, they are very wildly different movies. The only thing they have in common is that I guess they're both comedies.
Were they released in the same year?
Either they were. Wow.
That's probably what it was then.
Because they were released in the same year, but they're so different.
Their rights were probably up for super cheap at that same time. That's probably what happened.
Yeah, but I can't. Scream Factory has a lot of stuff in the vault. I'm sure they could have paired different movies together.
Yeah.
Like, High Spirits would have even maybe made more sense with something like Frankenhooker. Not Vampire's Kiss.
Vampire's Kiss and Frankenhooker would do better together.
Maybe. I don't know. Vampire's Kiss. That's such a weird movie. I'm not sure what I'd pair it with.
I don't know.
Besides Martin or Habit.
I've never seen Habit, but Martin would work really well.
Oh, you would love Habit. It's got one of my favorite actors.
Corey Feldman?
Larry Fessenden.
I don't know who that is.
He's in We Are Still Here. He plays the hippie guy who eats the sock and gets possessed.
I see We Are Still Here?
Yeah, it was the ghost movie. Anyway.
Lots of ghost movies.
Brett Gallman of ohthehorror.com made a comparison to this film while still putting it down to Midsummer Night's Dream. And in a way, that's sort of what it is. Plunkett, the hotel owner, battling alcoholism and debt, is kind of like Oberon. The ghosts are simultaneously fairies at the same time, while the staff itself in their ineptitude and are kind of like unintentional mechanics, in a way. The mechanic characters from Midsummer Night's Dream.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of really cool parallels there.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that, but it is very much that, aside from the whole questionable ghost murder at the end.
Well, I think drugging people with magical flowers to change who they love is also kind of questionable, so.
Yeah, that's basically just ancient roofie.
Yeah. Well, permanent roofie, too.
Oh, yeah.
Now, a lot of reviewers also compared this film to Ghostbusters, and the influence is really obvious, but I like what they did with the ghosts in this movie. Not just people floating through walls, but poltergeists, windstorms, a zombie bus, floating bricks peeling away from a wall to reveal decaying, angry corpses descending upon their living descendant.
That was super cool.
Whistling fish, bloody hands stretching out of taxidermied fish on top of that. A cheap stage set becoming real and then turning a child into a plywood prop.
I had forgotten all about that scene until it happened again. That was so cool.
When I was a kid, that moment terrified me.
Oh, understandably so.
And there's so much more. They do so much fun stuff with the physical effects in this movie. Even in just this, there's a moment while all the stuff is flying around the room from the poltergeist, and the kids who are complaining about this stupid exercise video, at one point a book flies towards the TV and through the screen, and the lady in the video catches it and screams at them that they're all horrible little children.
That was pretty great too.
Yeah, it was great. And those kids aren't really primary characters at all. They're only there to be tortured, but it's perfect that they are there to be tortured.
And they're the perfect kids to want to be tortured. Like, you want them to have a terrible time, too.
Yeah, because they're brats.
Yeah.
But in the end, everyone's kind of glad for their experiences, right?
Yeah, but the end is what I kind of have a problem with, because this is one of those movies that if you go 24 hours past the end of the movie, it's not good. Like, what happens when what's-her-name's dad finds out that she died at this hotel? Like, nothing is solved here.
Well,
you know
two things. The ghosts can make themselves visible, so if he comes there, Sharon can show herself.
Oh, that's a good point.
And another, I had always assumed, like in my mind, that the other girl had just taken her body. That even though to us she looks like that character, she's actually in Sharon's body.
Yeah, they kind of did that, speaking of Ghost Whisperer. They kind of did that in Ghost Whisperer, too, with the husband in the later seasons. Like, he wasn't actually in his body anymore, but it was still the same actor. So yeah, I guess that could be a thing, too.
And it did make sense. Like, Steve Guttenberg's wife, Sharon, played by Beverly D'Angelo, is such a terrible person. It makes so much sense that she would fall in love with this rapist ghost of a murderer. Terrible people meant to be together.
Yeah, that's true.
And I've read some reviews online where this person was basically trying to paint the story like Steve Guttenberg's character was obsessed with sex. He wasn't. He was in a loveless marriage. The only thing he did was try to capture some romance with his wife. That's it.
Yeah, but I don't even think because most of the time that she thought he was trying to do that, he wasn't. It was all misunderstandings.
She was just kind of treating him like crap the whole time.
Yeah. I really don't think he tries to initiate sex in more than a normal person would. You know what I mean?
He's just acting like a husband. I mean, he's not. And he never forces himself on her.
No, that's just some damn liberal reaching for something to bitch about, Maddie. That's what that is.
And even though they're also not major characters, I do like the priest in training played by Peter Gallagher and Jennifer Tilly. I think they're a cute little side story too.
Yeah, I do too. And I love Jennifer Tilly. Like, she's absolutely gorgeous too, in kind of like a classic sort of a way, I think. And she's just so, like, she's gorgeous, but she's also just got this cute, like, mildly impish attitude in everything she does that she's great.
Oh, have you ever seen The Wrong Guy?
No.
Oh, it's this great comedic kind of take on that classic Hitchcock plot of I guess 39 Steps might be the story I'm thinking of, where a man is accused of murder, but it wasn't him. But in The Wrong Guy, it's Dave Foley, for one thing, and he thinks people think he murdered his boss, so he goes on the run, and he thinks they're after him.
That sounds great.
Perfect. It is so funny. There's a point where he's in a hospital. Sorry for this, like, off topic tangent, guys, but there's a point where he's in a hospital, and the doctor was like, you just ate a bunch of poisoned ham. And he's trying to get his name, and he's looking around the room, and he's like, my name is Enema Bag Jones. And he delivers it so deadpan perfectly. He's deadpan the whole film. It's just brilliant.
Oh, I'll track it down. What's it called again?
The Wrong Guy. Everybody track The Wrong Guy down immediately if you haven't seen it. Now, Neil Jordan, who did direct this movie, also directed and wrote Company of Wolves, The Butcher Boy. He directed Interview with the Vampire.
Oh, The Butcher Boy?
Yeah, Byzantium. He's got some chops.
Yeah.
So I can see why, if you looked at that list of movies, why you might hate High Spirits if that's what you were expecting. Because it is completely, tonally the exact opposite of all of those films.
Yeah.
Now, what he had planned for this movie was for it to be a love story to Irish mythology, and he feels like it didn't quite get that across, and the comedy took over.
It's because there wasn't enough Bean Sid.
Bean Sid, huh?
Yeah, there wasn't a real Bean Sid. If there was a real Bean Sid, that would have helped.
I don't know. Beverly D'Angelo did enough screaming to count, didn't she?
She did.
I just did a Pacino thing there.
You did.
Yeah.
A very specific Pacino thing, in fact.
I think the soundtrack really did help drum up the action sequences in this movie.
I didn't retain much of the soundtrack. I think sometimes that's okay. I think I was just enjoying what was happening so much that it just didn't dawn on me.
It's really fun and happy and hyper and just fast and almost Irish, but mostly instrumental. And it happens, boom, every time some major ghost event starts to happen, every time something is spinning or they're trying to run away or the wind kicks up. And it brings the emotion to the scene really well. And I think without that music, it wouldn't have been as awesome.
If I retained any of that, I would probably agree. Unfortunately, it's been 2 weeks.
Now, I will say if I remade this as a darker, grittier film, Beverly D'Angelo's character would be played by Charlize Theron.
Ah, that would be perfect. Mm-hmm. Oh, she would be so much darker then.
They really did make light of what a rapey guy Liam Neeson's ghost character was.
They made light of everything. Oh. They made light of that. Suicide was a big joke in this. Like, it had some dark humor.
Yeah, for instance, like, he tricked her into dying. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he just said, "You want to be with me forever?" And he held out his arms to her, and she ran towards him and fell out the window.
Which was actually a pretty great foil to the stopping Steve Guttenberg from committing suicide earlier in the film.
Yeah.
You know, they kind of tied that in very nicely.
Yeah, save his life, kill her.
So did Steve Guttenberg just decide to move in there? Like, does he live there now? With Daryl Hannah?
I think it's possible. I mean, I'm sure he's welcome there. Maybe if, like, his wife decided to stay there, then it would mean Plunkett's castle wasn't being repossessed.
Yeah, maybe. Sure. I guess maybe my 24-hour theory doesn't work with this movie because I completely forgot that she could just appear, or the whole possibility that Daryl Hannah is in that body.
I think that there are a lot of storylines going on in this movie, but they blend together pretty well enough. I even love the ridiculous parapsychologist character, because at first he's a character you can almost take seriously with his research, but as the real ghost stuff starts to go down, especially like towards when the bus comes out of the water and afterwards, he just goes more and more batshit crazy.
Yeah, but he kind of gets his hero moment in the beginning of that scene, though. Like he gets them out and away from the energy, and it works for like 2 seconds until that, you know, he's the hero for a second until that bus rises up from the water.
Yeah. It's such a good movie, and so many people haven't heard of it, and so many people hate it, and I just don't understand it. But maybe they haven't seen your movie.
Maybe. And for those of you who have not seen Transylvania 65000, count your blessings.
It began as a routine assignment.
Transylvania.
Where is that?
I don't know. It's over there someplace.
But beneath the surface...
Transylvania's cute.
Of this happy land, horror awaits them. I'm investigating Frankenstein.
You mean the monster?
And a terrible secret lurks in the shadows.
I'm terribly sorry. We thought you were an animal.
He is.
Now they're discovering the truth
Did you see Dracula?
Yeah, when it first came out.
about the creatures of the night.
The jokes are funnier in the commercial.
Yeah, it's because they only tell the funny.
The curse of the undead.
Did you want to hurt me?
Hurt you? No. Bite you?
The terror of the full moon.
Oh, yeah, I'm going into town.
And the monster that science created,
Full house.
but could not destroy.
Does this hurt? Does this hurt? Good. Everything hurts.
Jeff Goldblum, Ed Begley Jr.,
Hi, ladies.
Joseph Bologna,
He was
and
good.
Gina Davis.
Tell me you want me too.
For a good time called
Transylvania 6, 5,000. It's good, huh?
I will say that I did think The Mad Scientist was at least entertaining.
Yeah, the Mad Scientist was entertaining, and Michael Richards was actually fairly entertaining too. I get what they were trying to do with this movie. I'm already off script because this just the trailer just reminded me of this. They were going for a lot of the like classic comedy moves, and a lot of this movie was what's the word? Improv. And that shows with stuff like when
I didn't see that.
When Ed Begley Jr. is climbing down the tree and he climbs down Frankenstein. That's a very sort of Laurel and Hardy gag.
Ed Begley Jr. was good too.
Yeah, everybody was good. It's just they didn't have anything good to really work with. Michael Richards was the funniest in the movie, but that was mostly just because, and that's how he got the role too. He like went into the interview and crashed around and fell over, and they hired him because of that. But yeah, that line with, have you seen Dracula? You know, that line was pretty great. And he's like, or wait, how does it go? They just said it in the trailer.
It's such a forgettable movie. You forget the lines the minute you hear them.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. And that was sort of my challenge with the notes. Like I took a little bit on Michael Richards and a little bit on why this movie got made, but I wanted to see how much I actually retain of the movie. So I'm very sparse with some of this. On purpose.
The energy did feel really off, and it actually came across as too improv-y to me as well. It didn't seem like there was very strong direction at all.
Mm-hmm. Well, Rudy DeLuca, the director, he's been in some Mel Brooks stuff. He's been in some Monty Python stuff. He was Vinny in Spaceballs, actually. Mm-hmm. He wrote for the Carol Burnett show. He wrote Dracula Dead and Loving It, which I know is one of your things.
I love that movie.
Yeah, so he's done some decent things. I just think that this movie was thrown together because of Dow Chemical, and I guess now is a good time to breach that subject.
Which is actually pretty cool, to be honest. It makes that's the main reason I'm glad we watched this, just learning that story.
Yeah, exactly. This is actually the most interesting thing about this movie. Dow Chemical had a bunch of money. I researched it a little bit, and I couldn't figure out why their assets were frozen, and it wasn't even like they were frozen. Dow Chemical had a bunch of money in Yugoslavia, and they weren't allowed to spend that money outside of Yugoslavia. So what they did was sort of launder that money by funding this movie. I think the idea was I'm sure that the idea was to make this movie and then get the money back, outside of Yugoslavia, which is actually a pretty smart plan, but don't make a crap movie if you want to make money on it. And it's a shame because this movie's full of, I'll go down the list. Jeff Goldblum's in this, Ed Begley Jr., Carol Kane, Jeffrey Jones. He's a little bit questionable, unfortunately, as a person and as an actor. Gina Davis, Michael Richards.
Gina Davis in her prime.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, gorgeous in this movie. Doesn't really wear anything. Mm-hmm. You had mentioned her boobs when we were preparing for this. I'm like, wait, she's topless in this? So the whole time I'm trying to remember when she's topless, and then I remember, because she's got that Vampirella outfit on.
It's a kid's movie, but it's hard to believe whenever Gina Davis is on screen.
Well, the 80s was a questionable time. I guess. Was this a really kid's movie?
Excuse. It is a family movie.
PG, yeah. I mean, I get. Yeah, but that being said, Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things was PG. And that movie's nightmare fuel.
I love that movie.
Me too. All right, so Transylvania 65000 follows Jack Harrison, played by Jeff Goldblum, and Gil Turner, played by Ed Begley Jr., to Transylvania. They are reporters for a tabloid, like a National Enquirer. No, not even Weekly World News level stuff, like stories about. Oh, I don't even remember. There were some pretty funny stories on the wall, though. I read some of them. But yeah, this is like Bat Boy level stuff. So they hear about a Frankenstein sighting, and yeah, they call Frankenstein, or they call Frankenstein's monster Frankenstein throughout the whole thing. Mm-hmm. It's okay. We're going to get past it, everybody.
Everyone does. So let's just accept it. The common people will call the monster Frankenstein. Unlike us, myself and you, and our enlightened listeners.
Well, actually, I'm even more enlightened than that, because you can technically call Frankenstein's monster Frankenstein. There's a quote in the book that I am going to massacre for you right now.
Oh, God.
It's something to the effect of, if I am your son, then I take your name. Something like that. That's way not what it is, but actually, maybe I should look it up so I don't sound like a total asshole. You don't have to edit this out, but...
But he's not being based off of the movie, off of the book, though. He's being based off of the Universal Monster, which is called The Monster. Thank you very much. Let me just drop my mic, but not really, because it's an expensive mic.
Oh, I don't care enough about this movie to justify why they called him Frankenstein. In fact, I'm Xing out of that page so I don't obsess over it. All right, so there's a Frankenstein sighting, Frankenstein's monster sighting, whatever, in Transylvania. Jeff Goldblum sort of has the straight man role in this, where he wants to be the real journalist, and Ed Begley Jr. is the goofy guy, Gil. Mm-hmm. He's totally okay with working at his dad's
newspaper,
tabloid. That's what I'm looking for, tabloid. Yeah. So they go to Transylvania, and all of. This is another thing that I hate about this movie is everybody is this vaguely Eastern European stereotype. You've got the corrupt mayor played by Jeffrey Jones, the butler and the maid that call everybody master, including this weird subplot about her calling him master and they're married, some like minor... It felt like some kind of like minor sex thing, maybe. And
it probably is, yeah.
Yeah, family film. So they head out to Transylvania and they meet all these guys. Michael Richards is also, I wouldn't call him a butler. Would he be a concierge? Bellhop?
I'd call him a butler.
All right, butler. We'll go with butler. And again, vaguely Eastern European accents. It's bad. It's so bad. Ugh.
Yeah. And it's slow.
It's very slow. Like nothing even, I think I messaged you about nothing happens for the first 45 minutes except for like bad quipping and Jeff Goldblum meets a girl who has a child. And the only reason this girl has a child is so the kid can disappear later on and we can get to the end of the movie.
I know Jeff.
Elizabeth is her name, played by Teresa Ganzel, who is she's actually a pretty good comedic actress, but she was not in this because nobody was.
I know Jeff is playing the role like his character is annoyed to be doing this whole thing, but it comes off as Jeff Goldblum being annoyed to be in this movie.
That's exactly how I took it, and that's part of what got me through it. And it's also why I watched Thor Ragnarok again, because I wanted to see Jeff Goldblum in something good. So I watched that Saturday when I was fixing my computer.
I watched Earth Girls Are Easy immediately after I watched it.
Perfect. Wait, who else is in that?
Gina Davis.
Ah, that's
Jim
right.
Carrey. Damon Wayans?
I don't remember that. Anyway, so yeah, they're in this weird area of Transylvania, and everybody's talking about the wine fest. The wine fest is happening soon. The cops don't even work when the wine fest happens. This is only important because a child goes missing and they don't go look for them. It's basically to get our main characters out looking for the child. Mm-hmm. So this wine fest is on the horizon, and people start seeing all these old Universal monsters, and we've got, and some weird stuff too. Like we've got Frankenstein's monster, we've got a Wolfman, we've got a vampire, or a Dracula, as they call it. There's a mummy, and there's also I had remembered there being a creature from the Black Lagoon, but that was only because of that weird scene where the wolf, or where Frankenstein pushes
Ed Begley Jr.
into the water, and that hand grabs his balls.
Yeah.
And it was just some weird pretzel guy, some weird what's that word when they're real flexible? Contortionist. It's just some random contortionist. So we go through all this crap, and the kid disappears and befriends Frankenstein, because that's what kids have to do. If there's a movie with Frankenstein in it, kids got to befriend Frankenstein.
Or get killed by him.
Yeah, or get killed. Yeah. Which is what should happen to kids when they meet Frankenstein's monster. Anyway. Oh, I forgot one. The doctor. We've also got a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde character in this, who is genuinely every scene with this guy.
This random, basically Bostonite, like Jewish.
Uh-huh. And he's great. Every time he's out of his lab, he's just this really nice, super great guy. But as soon as he walks into the lab, he like messes up his hair and becomes Mr. Hyde, is just a complete jerk. It's so good.
There's moments where he walks to the door, clears out, like smooths his hair. He's like, "What are you doing? Here, let me get you a drink." And then he like steps back and he's like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah. That whole scene with Jeff Goldblum was brilliant. So I mean, this movie's got its moments, not many, but it's got that. So yeah, you've got this whole, they find the kid, or Frankenstein brings the kid back to the wine fest, and all the monsters end up jumping in the wagon and going there, and it turns out none of them are monsters. Let me see if I can remember who everyone is here. We've got Frankenstein, who was a local, who was in a car accident, and he was so mangled that the townspeople couldn't look at him, so they put him in this sanitarium that the doctor worked at, and the doctor repaired him as best he could. So it was basically a very severely injured man who this doctor rebuilt and was able to help walk again. Mm-hmm. So that was Frankenstein. We've got the mummy, who was actually just a really ugly woman who the doctor gave plastic surgery to.
But actually, the newspaper things at the end revealed that she was a man.
Oh, that's right. It was a sex change, yeah. Gina Davis's character was just sort of a nymphomaniac who really wanted attention, so she pretended to be a vampire. Uh-huh. The contortionist was just a contortionist. They didn't really explain him, right?
Yeah.
The Wolfman was just a dude who had that disease where he grows hair all over his face, and he went to live with the doctor because the doctor was giving him electrolysis.
And his mother was the gypsy telling everyone that he was cursed.
Right, because she was embarrassed by him. The electrolysis thing was a little bit funny because, and it's such a dumb joke. Mm-hmm. You find out the doctor's giving this guy electrolysis, and he pulls up his shirt. He's like, "Hey, look, I can go to the beach now, or I can get a tan now." I don't know why I found it funny, but I did. Did I forget anybody?
Well, the butler and his wife.
Yeah, the butler's name was Radu.
Yeah.
Which, you know, how I feel about Radu, everybody. Yeah, the butler and his wife, their plot was a little weird. They were working for these people, like...
Well, the mayor basically said they were freaks, and then they, like, stood up straight, and he's like, "We're not freaks." And that was...
But I didn't understand that. Like, I thought that they were working for the doctor to fix... Or maybe that was it. They were working for the doctor to fix their son's back.
I'm not sure.
That's what I took from it. But again, I mean, this movie's a mess. It's hard to tell. Yeah, so, I mean, it ends up everybody lives happily ever after. It turns out the mayor and the police force are corrupt. They get their comeuppance or whatever. Frankenstein doesn't get burned at the stake because he's not Frankenstein. He's just some poor dude that was in a car accident that the townspeople are trying to murder.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that's Transylvania 6. Oh, no, I can't forget this. Every time the phone rings at the hotel, it plays a really, really, like, MIDI version of Transylvania, the theme to Transylvania 65000, which is a riff on Pennsylvania 65000. So every time that phone rings, do 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 do.
Oh, it's annoying.
It drove me crazy. They even had a dance scene using that song.
And it doesn't just ring once; it always has to ring like 2, 3, 4 times.
Yeah. Oh, that was so annoying.
They were so proud of that stupid tune.
All right, so let's go through. We're going to go through some of the trivia here. Most of it's dumb. So I'm just going to say it. The director, this is how lame this movie is. This is considered trivia. The director saw 40 women for the role of Odette, but they liked Gina Davis.
I wonder why.
Because she pulled off a Bela Lugosi accent. That's, much of the scene between John Biner and Carol Kane preparing for the lunch was improvised. Of course it was, because it was terrible. Apparently the only thing in the script was cut fruit and serve. Oh, this is kind of nice. Jeff Goldblum and Gina Davis met on this film, and they eventually got married, but then got divorced.
That makes me sad.
Yeah, I think they were only together for like 3 years.
They were such a good on-screen couple. And Earth Girls Are Easy. And The Fly, to a much lesser extent.
The little girl playing Elizabeth's daughter was a locally cast Croatian or Croat. Are they the same thing?
I think Croatian.
Yeah. The kid spoke no English. She had to be taught to speak her lines phonetically. Yeah, like every other foreign actor in any movie ever. See Spaghetti Westerns. This is my least favorite piece of trivia, and I'm going to read this. I'm going to quote this directly from IMDb right now. Although this comedy film is reputed to be short on laughs, it is long on cast. The main characters, Jeff Goldblum, Ed Begley Jr., Michael Richards, Jeffrey Jones, and Gina Davis, all average 6'3" tall. That's trivia, people. Oh.
Well, I didn't know Gina Davis was that tall.
I didn't either, but it's still annoying. Like, this movie's so boring. The trivia is like, hey, we have a bunch of tall actors.
There were 3 men in this cast whose first name was Jack.
This is like, I don't even want to read any more of these. I do have one more thing to say about this movie. This podcast ruins my childhood at least once a month. Sometimes it reinforces it. Like Dream a Little Dream, that reinforces my childhood. But movies like Transylvania 65000, this is one of those movies that, like, every Saturday in the winter, this was on some TV channel somewhere, and I'm old, so this was before DVR and stuff. So I would sit down as a kid and watch Transylvania 65000. I'd sing the song, and I'd be like super stoked, and I'd think it was the funniest thing ever. And I was a little, like, I had a feeling it wasn't going to be good, and you said it wasn't going to be good, but I still hoped. I hoped that this was one of those normal situations between you and me where I really like something that you find super dumb, but this was not it. Like, we agreed that this movie is utter crap. Mm-hmm. Yeah, stay away from it, everybody. Go watch. Oh, I would rather you watched House of Frankenstein than this movie, and House of Frankenstein is terrible, but it basically has the same characters, only they're really monsters in that. Dracula has the worst death ever in that one, and I'm still recommending it to you.
Yeah, this was not a watchable movie.
No.
By any extent. And what's funny is, it took me ages to see this as a kid, but it was a trailer for Transylvania 65000 seemed to be on every other VHS tape I'd rent.
Mm.
And you'd always remember that ending with Michael Richards going, Transylvania 65000, and it pops up on the screen like it's going to be a phone number or something.
It probably was there probably was a phone number you could call, and back then it was probably some kind of phone freak line. Who knows?
So if you want to check out our blog, you can find us at hallow-holic.blogspot.com or hallow-holic.wordpress.com.
You can tweet us at Nowhere23 or search Twitter for Hallow-Holics if you want to tell me how much you hate this movie as well.
You can email us at Hallow-Holics@outlook.com.
And you can look us up on podpedia.org by searching our portal, which is HHA. Thank you, sir. You don't have to murder me. You may go. No. Leave through the window.
Gosh, you're such a great host, Corey. This was a great show, but I think we can do better. What do you say we sit down, work out the kinks, maybe re-edit this, and get a nice new summer blockbuster going, huh?
That's a great idea. You know how much I love kinks.
Kinks and chills.
Chills and kinks.
Oh, God. Maybe this was a bad decision.
What can you do?